Hi, my name is Beto Paredes, and I am the CEO of Artist XP and the Audio Deadline online streaming show experience. I have a lot to share with you about what it is that we're trying to accomplish here and who we're working for and why we have done all of the work that we have done up to this point with Artist XP and the Audio Deadline. But I want to give you my heart on a lot of things and where I came from and why it's important to understand who's behind the message that we have here as a company and why getting involved with us as an artist is going to be something that makes more sense than anything else you've done in your career up to this point. First and foremost, I am a musician. I've been a musician since I was 14 years old. When I was 14 years old, I bought my very first guitar. I remember it was an electric guitar that was very, very poor quality. I bought it directly from a pawn shop, and I couldn't play the guitar without actually having it shock me because it had some electric problems. So I literally had to sit on top of my bed to play my guitar without putting my feet on the ground because if I did, I'd get a shock. And I played it anyways. I started really learning early on, and then in high school, just like a lot of you, I started building my dreams as a musician. Now, to give you kind of a little bit of a time frame, I was a 90s musician. I graduated high school in 1993, and a very interesting thing happened the same year that I did graduate. The internet came out. 1993 is when the World Wide Web was first introduced. And so all through high school, building my career as a musician, that wasn't even an option to get online and to actually promote yourself from that perspective. So granted, now there's so many different tools and ways for musicians to do well online, which we feel we bring the most substantial centralized hub ever developed for a musician, for an artist, for all artistry, which we'll talk about in just a little bit here, but let me finish my story. So in the 90s, I had gotten into several different bands. In fact, I was in 13 different bands in total between the time I was 14 years old and the time I had become 27 years old. And in that time, I was working very diligently, like many of you, to make it work, to make it happen. And we had some successes. In fact, at one time, we were a house band and packed the house every single Friday, Saturday night in a place called McCullough's in Salt Lake City, Utah. And the very last time we were together as a group, that group was called Seventh Sight. The record label, Capitol Records, had sent somebody out to actually check us out and see what we were all about. And not unlike a lot of tragic band stories, half the band was broken up at that point, and we never made that happen. But for that entire time, all the way from 14 years old up until I was well into my 20s, almost into my 30s, everything that I focused on, everything that I cared about was music. And I've written personally well over 50 songs. That last band we were in with covers that we were doing, plus the songs that we had a 40-song set. We were a big band. We were a seven-piece. Well, I still play music every day. Every single day, I play music. I play my guitar all the time. And I always look for opportunities to collaborate with other musicians. But let me tell you why I'm not pursuing it as a musician at this point in my life and what that means for the artists that are currently listening to my words. I became an engineer. I became very interested in technology. In fact, my father was an electronic technician. And for many of you that may know the history of computer science, the computer technicians were kind of the original hardware guys because before you had the regular IT guys that would work on hardware, a lot of the early information about computers was being frequented amongst electronic technicians or really television repair companies. And so I had computers at home really early. And because of that, I was very much exposed to computer science and the industry of it. And so right along with being a musician, I was kind of following this world that was unfolding, that was coming to light, that was coming to a much different perspective for the entire community of planet Earth with the internet. I was very involved with some of the executives that had developed one of the first very successful companies out of Salt Lake City. And before the dot-com bubble burst, which many of you may remember and maybe you don't remember when that happened, I saw the internet bloom into its earliest successes. And this entire time, I'm hanging out with these guys, but I'm playing my music. I was working on developing a sound that would be well suited for the radio, that would be well suited for the record labels to take a look at. We were developing our demos. But all of my friends were these guys that were working on in this internet development industry, and so I started getting involved in that, and I had a background already in computer science because of growing up around it. When I turned 27 years old, I started developing technology. I started coding. I started writing code. And I started developing websites. And through that earlier development, it may be that I was lucky, but I got to work immediately with some of the most successful companies in the marketing industry early on. I cut my teeth in the affiliate industry. I cut my teeth developing high traffic, large web portals and creating branding for several companies that was taking their profits to multiple millions of dollars a year. To fast forward a little bit to where we are and why I'm talking about all of this and why it's important. Since that time, when I switched over to start developing internet technology, I've done 8 major projects for Inc. 500 companies, some that have gone on to make multiple millions a year. I've done over 2,000 projects. I've launched several successful online companies. And all the way up until this day, we have been a sought-after engineering company when it comes to marketing and sales on the internet in many different industries and verticals. We're a sought-after company. We are considered experts. Well, one of the things that we did early was get involved in social media, to get involved in the open graph technology that was available through Facebook, to exponent and actually work with social technology in such a way that we were creating websites and very large portals that were very integrated even early on with some of the biggest sites that were out there. Then we went on to build some social media sites that became very successful. Well, all of this has been a passion for me because I have a dual background that's very important for everyone here to hear. I am a musician. I care about music. I care about musicians. I'm an artist. And everyone that's gotten involved in this company is an artist. Everyone that has come in has decided to make a difference with the way we plan to create this new technology for all of you to use is an artist. Very different situation than any other technology that's ever gone online concerning art, music, and all of the other artistry that we're bringing to the table, such as opportunities for models, dancers, and soon to be many other genres of artists. I remember how much I struggled trying to get my music heard. I remember going for day after day around the bars and flyering cars. Many of you that were 90s and 80s bands know what I'm talking about. Okay, I spent a tremendous amount of time trying to get radio interviews, which is still very popular. But at that time, that was everything. If you could get onto a radio station and get a radio interview, that was a big deal. I remember how much work I put in, not just to making good music, but getting an audience to listen to what it is that I had. Now, here we are in a day and age where you can go on and develop your music, put it onto social platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and of course SoundCloud, and get the kind of attention we never could. But one of the things that is still missing to this day is a centralized platform that allows you to do so much more by aggregating all of the efforts that you're making. So you've got one central place where you can spend a good amount of your attention and time developing the audience and building your brand bigger. And in a way that before today, you've never had the opportunity or option to utilize. Now, how do I know this? Because I've developed this entire technology around aggregating all of the tools that are already available to you. Things like Reverb Nation, SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and centralize them in a way that you can still utilize all of those platforms, but something you can do with us that has never been done before, not the way we've done it, is you're able to aggregate that and then in our platform, of course, add all the rest of your media, put in your music, put in any of the videos that you have, add your media, and besides developing audience from those that are coming onto Artist XP as fans, as users, besides just that, you're able to go in and set up trades with other artists. You're able to go in there and look at the other musicians, look at the other rappers, look at the other hip hop artists that are in there, the other producers, the other models, the dancers, and say, hey, would you be interested in a trade? I will share 5 of the pieces of media that you have if you'll share 5 of mine. Now, we've set it up to where that's not just a conversation, that's actually a contract. So you can go into Artist XP and you can trade. You can trade with as many artists as you would like, and you can set up as many contracts as you would like. What that means is that it's artists helping artists gain exposure for their work. And if you are familiar with things like groups in Facebook where there's a lot of artists there and working with each other there, doing listening parties, supporting each other, imagine being able to take that to the next level. to just get out of that container, being the Facebook group, and being able to share across all of the social media that any of the artists that are sharing with you have available to themselves. It's not much different than if an artist came to you and said, man, I love your stuff, and they share it manually on all of the social medias that they love. So not only will you be sharing in Artist XP, which is a full social experience, but you're also going to be broadcasting, as well as anyone that's sharing with you, broadcasting out to all of their audience, sharing your media. Now that, I wish in the 90s, I could have gotten onto a conference call, or I could have gotten into a meeting somewhere, and even in some of the primitive chat rooms somewhere back when the internet first started, with all of the artists that were in the area and said, hey everyone, let's help each other out. That was never an option or an opportunity, and surprisingly enough, even though there are a lot of networking that's happening in social right now with artists, until this moment that we put this together for you, that we gave you this platform to be able to get out there and actually really grind it out and shine, this opportunity has not existed. And so as a musician, as an artist myself, I'm asking you to take a look at what we have to offer you, because this has come from the heart. This has come from what it really means to me to be able to support the artistry industry, musicians, dancers, models, other artistry. And let me tell you why it's so important to me. As I've seen social media develop, all kinds of popularity has come to light. All kinds of influencers have appeared. And it's very common for an influencer that is out there, social media influencer, right, has people that watch them, listen to them, like them, to basically share information about their life that in many ways does not equal in any way to the kind of art that an artist is producing. Funny cat pictures, just one that we are all familiar with that I can point out, that have gotten viral. And all of these different things of stuff going viral, someone wrecking their car and flying off of a cliff, somehow got caught on video, goes viral. So much noise has been created in the entertainment business, online, in the social experience, that your work as an artist is being competitive against things that have nothing to do with mastery of art. That, I feel, is a travesty. That, I feel, has to be corrected in this industry. That is something that cannot continue in order for the art that you create, the music that you create, the dance that you create, the profound artwork in your modeling work, whatever it might be that you're striving towards as an artist, this enriched, valuable, emotionally driven content that we're trying to get people to share. We're trying to get people to connect with us and connect with each other. Because that's what music is all about. I can tell you from a musician's point of view, is that it affects us emotionally. It drives our experience emotionally. That's what makes music so universal. That's why it's been around forever. No matter what the politics have been, music has always been central to culture. It drives change. It drives unity. Artistry and creativity are so vital and important that it belongs in its own environment. It belongs somewhere where it can be purposely appreciated. So that's what Artist XP is. ArtistXP.com is the site, but Artist XP stands for the artist experience. The whole point of developing the Artist XP experience is so that the full social experience expected, just like you would get on Facebook or Instagram, to be able to friend, to be able to post, to be able to come in and do all of the things that you're used to being able to do in other social platforms, are all still there and available to you, but the artist appreciation is at a much different level. And the interactivity between the fans, the users, and the social environment is dynamic, like you've never seen on any other social platform. And it's not a competitive place. I'm not saying don't go to SoundCloud and use that tool. I'm not saying don't go to Reverb Nation and set up and possibly use some of the services that they have. Okay, we've got it to where you can snap your SoundCloud player in, and if you've got any of the widgets from Reverb Nation, you can snap those in as well. This is a centralized place where you can get your grind on, and other artists, models, and dancers, and get exposure across several different audiences like you've never been able to do before, and to be able to present yourself as an artist in a complete format. So if you have all of these other aggregates, if you are on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere else, you can aggregate that all to your main profile so that they can fully experience everything that you have to offer as an artist, including links out to your website, links out to anywhere else you may be selling your music, such as iTunes. It's very flexible what you're able to do within the profile management of our system. So just the experience itself and supporting artistxp.com as an artist is critical because it is us as artists that put this together for you. I just happen to be extremely good at online marketing. I just happen to be extremely good at engineering social technology and have done that for years. We are, in my opinion, one of the top 10 development companies in the country to go to, whether you're doing marketing, whether you're doing social engineering, or any other type of engineering. So what is behind Artist XP is a very intelligent group of passionate engineers that are very tied and very closely knit with the musicians and the music industry, because myself being the CEO of both companies, the engineering company that's doing the work and Artist XP and Audio Deadline, okay, as the CEO, I am a musician. I am passionate about music. I listen to it all day long. I play it all the time. I was deeply involved in the modeling industry for quite some time as a photographer. That's a whole nother conversation. But art has been a very important part of my life. I am here to develop a way for you as artists to be able to make it in the industry if you're willing to do the work and have no ceiling ever in our application for you to grow as big as you would like to grow. That is what I have. That is what we have developed. That is the passion behind the company. Art, ART, all rise together. That is the motto that we have come up with here. In fact, I'd like to speak a little bit about Fly Styles, our president, a gentleman who's been involved with me for a very long time, the host of our actual Audio Deadline online streaming show, which I want to explain to you now. So the artist experience, Artist XP, I hope you can kind of see that vision. Why you should get involved with this, why it makes sense for you as an artist to get on there, get a profile set up, get all of the information about your artistry in there and just grind it out. Okay, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of new technology coming, actually, you guys will really be excited about too, that we're going to be tying into this, because it's all about an exciting sizzle that you've got to keep a buzz about if you're going to work in the music industry, if you're going to be in the modeling industry, if you're going to create a social experience around art, around artists, around musicians, around producers and singers. It's got to have some kind of sizzle. There's got to be something exciting going on. Well, we have something very exciting going on. Every quarter, we have an online streaming show called audiodeadline.com. On Artist XP, besides all of the other amazing things that you have access to and all the incredible things that you're able to do on there as an artist, you can also enter in competitions to compete by popular vote to get onto Audio Deadline. Now, here's what's really amazing about that. We have opportunities for musicians, producers, rappers, singers, anything that you can imagine would be in the sound room when you're doing a recording, including sound engineers and anything you could consider that would be in a recording studio during the magic moment of actually creating music. Models are able to compete to get onto our show as co-hosts. Dancers are able to compete to get onto our show to actually be co-hosting directly with Fly. So let's talk a little bit about Audio Deadline. So there's all of the amazing things that you have opportunity to do in Artist XP. Now, Fly Styles, met him 4 years ago, had been really developing a strong relationship with him, and he is an industry executive that, in my opinion, has a very clear vision of everything that's ever happened in the music industry and where everything is. So if any of you want to know a little bit more about Fly, you can go to audiodeadline.com and click on his profile. I suggest you do check out who our host and president is. I have learned a tremendous amount about how the industry operates from Fly because he's been deep in it for some time. But one of the things that I am just absolutely sold on his relationship to me and his relationship to the rest of you is how passionate he is about making it for other stars that he has worked with. He has become a star maker. He has helped some of the biggest names in the industry make it bigger than they could have ever imagined, and they couldn't have done it without him. And even now, He goes on a constant search for discovery of new potential talent to be able to take them from where he knows they are now to where they may be able to go as a star. That's what he was doing when I met him. Is he was already very involved with many very big names out there. And for those of you that know a little bit about Fly's background, he is one of the most sought after choreographers in the industry. Has worked with some of the biggest names, Chris Brown, Usher being two very recognizable names because their choreography is a very big piece of who they are. That is just a small piece of all of the things that Fly has done in the industry. He's very well respected by some of the most important people. Well, his vision of star making and our vision of the tool set to really create an experience for artists that's never been had before, that's never been seen, came together in a way that we could never have expected. And the Audio Deadline online streaming show experience is the accumulation of effort that will be seen in Artist XP. It is the prize that is available to any of the artists that enter into the competitions and win. If you are an artist and you win an opportunity to get onto the deadline, you come into the studio. The other artists that have won an opportunity come into the studio. A lot of times we'll have special guests that are relevant mainstream artists that are coming in to make the music with you. What happens is you come in, you've got a deadline of 8 hours to work together with these other contest winning musicians to make a brand new song. You've got professional sound engineers there, possibly famous people are going to come by and actually work directly with us. That'll be a lot of fun. But the reality is you're going in to make a brand new song with a group of musicians, a group of artists that you've never met before, and you're putting together new music. Now that's what it is for the musicians, for the producers, for the singers, for the guitarists, for the individuals that are the DJs that have the opportunity to actually create the music. While that's happening, the models that have competitions running have an opportunity to co-host. And the dancers also have an opportunity to co-host. So the three artistries that we have available to everybody on Artist XP, which is models, dancers, and musicians. All of those artists, recording artists is a better way of putting that, all of those artists have an opportunity to get onto the deadline. Now, why is that a big deal? Because the deadline isn't just a streaming event that happens 4 times a year. That's what happens. Every quarter we have a deadline. It's also one that we put a lot of promotion behind. It's also one that we have a lot of influencers out there making sales of tickets for. Okay, they're low-cost tickets to come into the showroom on Artist XP for the Audio Deadline showcase experience 4 times a year. So we're out there promoting, spending money on marketing, and making it a big deal because if you're an artist that made it onto the deadline, we want that first step for you into the bigger career to be that opportunity that we handed to you to come in and let everyone that buys a ticket, everyone that gets involved in the deadline experience to watch you and the rest of the contest winners make new music, to be right there with you during that moment of creativity. That's part of the excitement that's going on in Artist XP. This is unlike any other social experience that's ever been made. And so I, the CEO of the company, a musician, a passionate artist myself, and an award-winning engineer that has built something I believe is going to be very well received in the internet space. I'm inviting you as a recording artist, as a model, as a dancer, to get involved with what we're doing because what we're really creating is a movement. Art. We all rise together. That is what we're all about. We hope you'll support us. We hope you'll join us on Artist XP. And we hope that you will join Fly as the president and host of the Audio Deadline show and come compete for an opportunity